yourself, where you're based, how many kids you've got, and we'll dive into some more nitty gritty in a minute here.
Sounds good. Yes, I am in Oakland, California. I have 3 children. They are, my son, Liam, just turned 10, which I'm having a little bit of a existential crisis surrounding that.
Double digits. It's a big deal.
It is. It really is. He'll be in 5th grade in the fall, so his last year in elementary school before middle school. So lots of transitions around here. My daughter is named Sinead, and she just turned 7 last week, and she'll be in 2nd grade. And then I have a son, Jameson, who we call Jamie. He's my little fireball. And he will be 5 in a month. So we always call them the royal flush. They're May, June, July. It's busy times. And he will be in kindergarten. So I'll have 1 year where I have all 3 of them in the same school, which is exciting.
Oh, that is the best. So I'm trying to remember when we met. It was before, I think the first in-person meeting was when you were pregnant with Jamie.
Or Sinead. I can't remember. I think, I don't. Now I'm trying to remember who it was when you were here. Right?
I love that you can.
Which child was it?
Yes. 5, 7 years or so. So
right. So yes. Either Sinead or Jameson.
Oh my gosh. I just remember you were just like, I'm going to give birth at any moment here. But you're out there.
My first son was 3 days early. And then my second 2, my daughter was 10 days overdue, and my younger son was 15 days overdue. So I was like,
waiting. Yes. All right. So we're here to talk about how you handle not just being an entrepreneur, but also being a mom with a very full schedule, 3 very, very active children. And so I know you come from an entrepreneurial family. So why don't we start with just having you share a little bit about your business, what you're involved in, what it is that you do as an entrepreneurial mom.
Sounds great. So I own a baby boot camp franchise in Oakland, and I bought the business in April of 2009. So it's been a few years. I also do some personal training on the side, and I am also a sales coordinator with Juice Plus. I have a lot going on, and I'm so thankful actually that I have the business that I do. When I started Baby Boot Camp, I was also working at an office job, and it was a lot. And when I had Sinead, my second child, the business I worked for was awesome, and they let me bring her into work, and it was great, but it was just too much, and I wasn't able to focus on my own business. I was working on someone else's business. And so the best thing that I did for my business was to really delve in and focus on my business and quit my part-time job. And it was, again, they were awesome people. They were super understanding, really family friendly and family oriented, but it just wasn't allowing me to really get into my business and do what I wanted to do. So it has been great to be able to do that, and to have a business where in the summertime, I obviously don't have infants anymore, so my children are not in strollers, but they don't go to camp. They come to baby boot camp. So I'm able to have them with me. I'm able to be flexible in my personal training hours, and basically kind of quit for the summer so I could be with my children and kind of ramp things back up in the fall. And I have very understanding personal training clients as well. So that is also helpful. But my kids love coming with me to work, and I'm, work. And so, it's been very great for our family. Great to have the kids with me for the summer. Not that camps are a bad thing. They love camp, but they also are like, baby boot camp is camp, and they come with their friends and they ride their bikes and they're able to get outside, and it's been fantastic. So.
That's great. And, so much of what we're trying to do here with the MomStrong Entrepreneur Network is really inspire other moms to look for opportunities. And it sounds like you're wearing 3 different hats. The other day was writing this down and I'm like, is it 3 hats or 4 hats? And the reality is, I do similar work to what you do. It's fitness and nutrition, or it's wellness in general. It's not necessarily different hats, because there is such a great marriage or synergy between, what you're doing with fitness, with baby boot camp, with personal training, with Juice Plus. It kind of all bleeds into each other in a very good way. Yeah. But having that time freedom, having that flexibility, not having to have childcare. I think back to the day when, we used to live in San Francisco and our kids were born and my husband was traveling and gone all the time and I was working, and, we had full-time childcare. Yeah. It was the only way to survive. And, it is a very different life now. And I even look from, when I had my daughter, 15 and a half years ago to today, that moms just have more options. And that's what we want to do, is bring more moms onto our broadcast to share, what else is there for moms other than working a 9 to 5, traveling because someone else is telling you, you have to go on this business trip, or staying late for this meeting, whatever it might be. Looking for more opportunities for moms to create time freedom and prioritize family first. And I think you're doing a great job of doing that.
Well, thank you. And I'm really inspired too by the moms that I have in my classes, because a lot of them go back to work after, they're about 2 to 3 months. And then I also have a lot of moms that work from home as well. And so I have a couple moms that are therapists. And so they're working later in the evenings. And so they're still able to come to my classes. And it is still, definitely a juggle either way. But it is nice to be able to have that time,
That's great. Yeah. Good. Well, it's wonderful to hear that. So in your experience as an entrepreneur, building up your business, what was your greatest aha moment?
Oh, yes. My aha moment. So I was actually about 30 pounds overweight, 30 to 40 before I got pregnant with my first son. And then I put on with him in pregnancy an additional 50 pounds. So at some point in the beginning of my pregnancy, maybe even before I realized I was pregnant or found out, I decided I wanted to get back in shape. And then I found out I was pregnant and I kind of threw in the towel. So after I had him, I did some things. I was dancing still when I was pregnant with him. But after I had him, I was like, okay, I really need to, get this together. So I would just go and walk around. We have a lake by our house. And so I would go down and walk around the lake. But I was really pretty lonely. And it took me about 9 months before I was like, okay, I'm not really able to do this on my own. Like, I was losing the weight, but I wasn't doing any strength training at that point. And I was very isolated. I didn't have a lot of friends or any friends at that time that had kids. And so I joined Baby Boot Camp as a participant. And it was fantastic. I met all these moms that I'm still best friends with today, 10 years later. And I took off all the rest of the weight with Baby Boot Camp. And the previous owner at one point asked me if I wanted to become an instructor. And it was something I'd never thought about. Again, I had this part-time job and I was like, I don't think that's for me. I don't know. But then I realized, this is part of my aha moment, was that I was able to take off the weight almost all with Baby Boot Camp. And I realized that I had something that I could share with other moms. I wasn't the type of person that was already really fit and then became this fitness instructor and went kind of that traditional path. But I went as someone that had some weight issues to deal with. And some body image issues, which I think a lot of women unfortunately deal with. And it was something that I thought I could, help other moms with. So that was my aha moment. It was more of an aha journey.
Right. It's always a journey. I think for all of us, but that's very powerful. And I appreciate you sharing that personal story.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. That's great. So at what point did you realize like, hey, this is a business. This isn't a hobby. This is really a career for me and something I can continue to do, even when my kids are out of school for the summer and my kids are out of the stroller. So when did you realize that, hey, this is really a business and I need to treat it like one?
Yeah, well, I think it was going again back to that part-time job that I had. I was, I'd finished teaching a class. I would change in my car into business clothes, all sweaty and nasty.
Oh, at least you're not in Florida, right?
Yeah, it's not too bad. It's pretty foggy around here most of the time. Drive down to my office job with my daughter. She was an infant. Bring her in. And as the days went by, I was realizing, my business, it was doing okay, but it wasn't where I wanted it to be. And I needed more time. I needed to really work on my business and make this more than a hobby and make it into a real business. And I was starting to see, a little bit of growth. And so starting to see that, yes, that it had potential to be a real business, but again, not the growth that I wanted it to be. And so it was really, really scary for me because I kind of always had this part-time job as this like crutch. And also at the same time, my daughter was starting to crawl. So I was like, okay, she's not going to sit in the car seat while I'm doing my office work and then coming back home. I mean, she's going to start to move around a little bit. What am I doing? And, it was the best thing I could have done. And so I'd say for people that are kind of on the fence about if you have something that you're passionate about and that you think, with some time and energy and focus that you can make into a real business is to go for it. Because I know a lot of people that, again, are working kind of between these two different jobs. And I think that what I needed to do was, again, just really work on me and my business and focus on that rather than, again, these kind of 2-3 different lives. Although again, as moms, we're kind of always doing that. So it wasn't, too terrible to do, but
right.
Yeah.
So Mary's advice is go for it.
Yeah,
it is scary.
It can be scary. I mean, it can be, but, what do you have?
Did you have any mentors, friends, family members who were also entrepreneurs who were supporting you through this process? Maybe even your husband who said, hey, let's do this. Let's really give this a shot.
Yeah. Well, thankfully my husband has been very supportive the whole time. And what's really interesting is that at the time that I bought in April of 2009, we were kind of in a bit of an economic crisis in this country. And so I was like, is this, and, and also when I bought the business, the numbers were really, really low. And so I was like, is this crazy? Should I buy the business? Like, I don't know. Again, this is another like go for it moment. Because the numbers that I was going to be taking over were not high. We're in an economic crash. I was like, how many people are going to be wanting to, be or able to come to my classes?
Right.
But I decided to go for it. And that same month, my husband is a carpenter and he lost his job. And so I was like, okay, well now I really have to make this work, and like, I've got a business and right now he had some side work, but, back then construction was not doing very well in good old 2009. So he was doing some side work and then I was able to, again, it was kind of like do or die, like focus and get this business going because it really helped us in some tougher times.
Right.
Again, I have a very supportive husband and very supportive children. I mean, they love coming with me to class and they sometimes design. My daughter loves like writing workouts.
I'm sorry, how old is she?
She's 7.
That is amazing.
Going on 17. Yeah. But it's been a part of their life.
My workout for the class I'm teaching on Friday.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. She does really good AMRAPs, as many rounds as possible. She puts lots of burpees in, which I love. But I think that, having the family support and again, being an influence on my children as someone that was all equally the breadwinner as well in the family has been helpful for all of us as a family.
Yeah. And that is something I see again and again. The more entrepreneurial women that I work with and that I coach, I find that having a supportive partner, spouse is critical. That will make or break your business. If you've got your partner saying, you need a full-time job, you need this, you need that,
Yeah.
it's going to be really hard, because being an entrepreneur isn't easy, is it? Ups and downs and highs and lows, and you've got to be able to weather through those. And those are the people that are successful, the ones who don't quit. I can't remember what book I was reading, but they talked about how people, specifically entrepreneurs, typically quit right as they're on the verge of breakthrough. And that's just something I remember often. Is it's easy to get to that point of, oh my gosh, I'm frustrated. This isn't going the direction I wanted it to. I'm going to throw in the towel and try something else. And that's why so many entrepreneurs do fail, is that they just quit too soon.
Well, and you're right. And there is always such an up and down with being an entrepreneur, like not even just week by week, but like within a day, you know,
No doubt.
Going up, you're getting organized, you've got your goals set, something happens to set you back, you're back down here. I mean, it can be very challenging.
Yeah. So any resilience tips on how to weather those ups and downs, those highs and lows, those challenges as an entrepreneur?
Good question. I think that I just, I get, like you said, I mean, keep on trying, and then really kind of going back and seeing what could have been done differently and reassessing your goals. And we've talked about this before, where it's like, you might set a goal. Kristen and I are very into 30, 60, 90 goals, 30-day, 60-day, 90-day. You might set a goal 90 days in the future that, once you get into the 30 days, you're like, that's not really going to work. And it's not that that's a failure, but it's something that, your goals and the way you get to them are always shifting, and that's an okay thing.
Right.
So I think that, kind of going back through and reassessing and being goal oriented is very key, because otherwise, and it happens with me, like when I write out my goals, 30, 60, 90, and I have this little, like a bulletin board that I put up over my dresser, and I stick them in there. And if I don't do those, and it happens where I'll go months where I don't have my goals set out, like I won't reach my goals.
Right.
It doesn't happen, And so, I think writing your goals down, and again, not kicking yourself when you're down, when you're not able to reach those goals, but again, just reassessing and reevaluating and not giving up, I think.
Yeah. I think having your cheerleaders that you turn to, also people that will be honest with you. Do you have those people in your life that can be honest with you, but also face the brutal facts? Like,
Absolutely.
Good. All right. So another tough one for you.
Okay, I'm ready.
What's been your biggest challenge in your business so far?
I think the biggest challenge, and this is more specific to my personal business, so I'll just say this one quickly so I can be more broad for those of you that aren't in fitness with new moms. I've experienced a real shift with the Bay Area. The prices, it's just a price gouge out here. So I have a lot of moms, like the majority of my moms go back to work after 3 months, and I can't see them until at least 6 weeks. So I've got them for like 6 weeks-ish, and they're gone. And so I just have like a constant marketing that I have to be doing at all times. So that is a big challenge. The other challenge for me is actually kind of staying focused. I have, like Kristen was saying before, I have a lot of interests, but they are all related. So I've got baby boot camp with specific, class times, and I have personal training that I could be a little more flexible with. And I have Juice Plus and nutrition education. And I've just actually gotten into doing fitness retreats and planning those.
Yeah. Have you taken yours yet?
No, I leave next Thursday on the 29th.
Where are you going?
I'm going to Costa Rica.
I gotta say, I'm so jealous. I love Costa Rica. I love Costa Rica. I would be happy to volunteer to be a guest instructor at your next retreat.
Okay, I will write you down. Yeah, we're doing, it's going to be boot camp and yoga and Zumba.
And wine, right?
Yes. What's that?
Wine.
Oh, I thought you said flying. I'm like, yeah, I'm not.
No,
driving.
there are retreats where they don't have wine.
Oh, no. That's
I know you well enough.
There will be cocktails aplenty and pools and massages and the beach.
So detox during the day, retox in the evening.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's not that the doing retreats, I'm super excited. It's going to be my first one and we're hoping to make it annual.
Wonderful.
But kind of there's just a lot of things going on and then being a mom. So I think that the juggle.
I'm going to pause you for just one moment.
Yes.
Because I do exactly the same thing. You have a husband too.
True.
Or I feel so bad. My husband's always like at the bottom or off the list. It's like, oh yes.
Oh yeah. That guy.
My number one cheerleader, right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And he's coming to Costa Rica.
Oh my gosh.
So, yes. I treated him for the week. So my kids are staying here with family and he is coming along and he probably won't take any classes because you can take as many or as little as you want. But I told him he has to take at least a yoga class or two because he's a carpenter and he is hard on his body. So I said he has to do some stretching while we're there. So that would be a challenge of mine is these kind of, all the different hats that I think
right.
as moms and as entrepreneurs, because I know that so many entrepreneurs that I know have all of, it's not just the one thing that they're doing. So,
right. Well, I mean, to be successful as a fitness professional and it's really about building multiple revenue streams. It's not just personal training. It's not just teaching, group exercise classes, you've got to be involved in products and services and things that really make sense and are aligned with your values.
Mm-hmm. Yes, right. Absolutely.
Well, that's good. So what advice, Mary, would you give to other MomStrong entrepreneurs?
I would say my biggest piece of advice is to go for it. And if you, if you are passionate about something, I think that passion, especially something that you are closely connected to and have a success story with, that passion is going to come through. And it might be scary to focus on you and on yourself. And again, I mean, like you said, it's critical to surround yourself with people that are going to support you. And we always talk about our tribe, having other women and other moms that are mentors, and also having your spouse get on board, hopefully, is really critical. So that's my advice overall.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So I have a more difficult question for you because it's not something that we really think about. But if you woke up tomorrow and you didn't have your business anymore, you didn't have the income stream, let's just say, there was a study that came out that fitness was killing everyone or, we're ending up with these the disease of fitness, right? And fitness and nutrition was no longer an industry and your business was over. What would you do?
Oh, great. Good question. I actually, that obviously has not happened to me, but I did open a fitness studio about, now I don't even remember how long, a year. I think I signed the lease in July of 2015 and I had it for about 9 months and I was like, this is not for me. I didn't want the overhead. Obviously I should have figured that out before I went into this, but what they say about hindsight
is so amazing.
Yeah, it is. So I I mean, it was a failure. It wasn't a failure. I think if I had pressed on, it would have been successful. But I was spending all of this time dealing with instructors, managing instructors, getting that, and not doing a lot of teaching, which is what I love to do. And we could go into the E-Myth if you wanted to, but I didn't want to be doing it. And I was, instead of hanging out with my kids, the whole reason I had gotten into this to begin with was to have more time with my children and to be able to be home with them and also do what I love to do. And instead it was becoming this stressful. If I was with my kids, I was snapping at them and not thinking about them. And most of the time I wasn't with them because I was at the studio, or I was, trying to deal with putting out fires here and there. And I just quit. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I quickly found somebody. I set a date. Going back to our 30, 60, 90 goals. I set like a 60-day goal of quitting myself kind of. And I decided, by March 31st of 2016, and this was like around Christmas time. I wanted to be out of the business. I wanted to have sold my studio, and I wanted to just be done with everything. And I did it. And so kind of circling back to your question, I think I have an entrepreneurial mind and spirit, and I think that I would try something else. I've always liked to write. That's actually what I wanted to do to begin with. When I first went to college, I was an English and French lit major. So doing some sort of blogging or some sort of writing. But I definitely think it would be pushing on and trying something new. And I saw recently this visual, I don't know if you saw it on Facebook, but it showed all these really successful, this is like kind of one of the ways that got me through my own failure, was all of these pictures of these super successful CEOs, presidents, business people, whatever, probably all men.
Oprah was in there, I think, if I'm thinking about the right one.
Oh, really?
There may have been one.
Yeah,
woman.
It showed, I kind of didn't even really read the thing, but the gist of it was all of these people had I was like, yeah, okay. They'd all had major failures in their lives. And if they had quit then, we wouldn't even know who they were. Like Oprah, for example, if she was the one on there. So I think kind of, learning from that failure and that loss, if that's how we kind of want to look at it, is what I would try to do. It's what I hope I would do.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, there's certain things that are clearly outside of our control, right? Like you were talking about the massive downturn in the economy in 2009. And then it's, okay, well, here's the situation that I have no control over, but what do I have control over in my life? And what can I focus on? And, I think from what I'm hearing.
I think going back to what you're saying, it's like, I think what I did with the, what could I control in the situation with my studio is not doing it anymore, and getting someone in there and getting back to my original why and my original intent on, me as a person and my business, and what I can control about that were and putting that into some sort of goal and timeline to get it done.
So I want to talk about this a little bit more, because you're talking about the studio as a failure and how this was, in hindsight, something you never should have done. So how did you end up in this situation? Was this something you thought you always wanted, and then you got into it and realized this wasn't aligned with my priorities and my goals? Or do you think an opportunity came up and you went for it and then thought about it after the fact?
No, I mean, the thing is, I had done a lot of research before, and I just thought I was teaching some early morning classes as well for women. They did not have strollers. They were like, it was 5:30 in the morning, 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah, children are not up then, or they shouldn't be.
Yeah. Children were not there. And so I was doing these early morning classes, and I thought that, and I was doing them outside of the park, and I wasn't really growing that. And I thought that a studio was the way to go. And I had done some research, and then it was like getting into it. I just didn't really, once I was in it and there, I didn't really know that it was going to be like that. And I didn't really realize that, again, I was going to be pulled out of what I love to do, which is the teaching aspect and the relationships I had with my clients. I was pulled away from that into managing other people to do that work. And so I think that's, and again, being pulled away from my children even more, the whole like time freedom thing was like quickly going out the door. You know, I couldn't go anywhere because I was always having to be around for this like brick and mortar space. So the flexibility was not there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's not dwell on the past. Moving forward, if you were stranded on a deserted island, other than your family, what 3 things would you want to have in your backpack?
Now I'm trying to remember what my answers were to these. I think I said books, wine, a beer, books, wine, and beer. I think those are my answers. I definitely, maybe a pen, a book, a pen, and a bottle of beer, or some way to drink wine. Yeah, I think that's what I would bring.
Beer's not going to get you very far.
I know. That's why I'm trying to think of something that would continue to, maybe like some way to ferment coconuts or something.
Some of the moms I've interviewed have said things like, a Wi-Fi router. Just like,
oh no, that's not a hot spot. No, that wouldn't be me.
I know.
A corkscrew. I'd have to have, at least if I had the wine, it would have to be a screw top.
Yep. Always the best kind of wine.
I would want a wine and a corkscrew. That would take up 2 of my spaces. But if I had a book, and I don't even know what book. Again, I was a lit major, but I don't have a favorite book. So I could not just pick one, but some sort of wonderful book with big margins so that if I had a pen, I could write other ideas in the margins and have paper as well.
I like it. So tell me, how many hours of sleep did you get last night?
I got 9. I am a huge sleeper. It's like my favorite thing to do.
That's amazing.
If I get less than 8.5, well, I'm such a baby. Like I cannot, or I'm not a baby. Maybe I'm not a baby because babies don't get, they sleep during the day. I'm not a napper. I don't like sleeping during the day. That totally throws me off. But I need to get between like 8 and 10 hours of sleep.
Wow, your family understands that?
They do. Oh yeah. Oh yes. They don't want to be around me if I have not had.
Oh my gosh, that is wonderful. And what is your favorite food?
My favorite food, I love Mexican food. I'm from California. I was born in San Diego, and we used to go to Mexico a lot when I was really little.
Good Mexican food. I mean, coming from California and now living in Florida, it's like we can't find good Mexican food here.
I'm so sorry about that. It's so delicious.
I know.
But I make a lot of Mexican, my version of Mexican food at home. Yeah. And tonight, actually, I'm making a taco salad, and I'm doing a quinoa black bean kind of mixture that has like chili and like spices and stuff. So it's sort of like the ground turkey or ground beef component, but vegetarian. And then an avocado lime dressing. So I like to turn my love of Mexican food into like salads and bowls.
Yeah.
Take tortilla.
Oh,
a
do you
lot of
remember
time.
growing up the taco salads when you could go into a restaurant and they'd have it in that huge crispy tortilla?
Giant, yes. But then it would get all soggy at the bottom.
I
That
know.
was my mom's like favorite thing when we
Yeah.
were little, was getting these giant taco salads. And
Yeah.
when I was little, I ate I think I was 4 and we were in a Mexican restaurant and they had those super spicy carrots. And I didn't know they were the super spicy carrots. And I ate just like the whole thing. My mouth was on fire. But ever since then, I loved spicy food. It's
Wow.
just been one of my things. Yes.
Wow. Well, Mary McQueen, thank you so much for joining us today for the
Thank
MomStrong Entrepreneur Network. Do you have any parting words of advice for our budding MomStrong entrepreneurs?
Parting words and advice. I would say, do what you can with if again, I don't want to say failures, but like, what you hit me with one last question. Don't get down on yourself. I think I need to take some of that advice myself. Something that I think one of my friends who's actually going with me, she's going to be the yoga teacher on this retreat. She's like, I go around telling everybody to be kind to themselves. She's, has her own business. Be kind to themselves, love your body, work on your business, blah, blah, blah. But then I don't do it so much for myself. And I look in the mirror and I, have this like negative self-talk. So I think, myself included, we can all deal with a little bit of love and compassion for ourselves.
I think that's
and yeah, some self-care.
That is important. Beautiful. Wonderful parting words. Thank you so much, Mary. Thanks everybody for joining us, and we'll see you back here soon on the MomStrong Entrepreneur Network. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.